Tonight's true scary story is one of those stories that you do not watch at night. After I read it, it gave me like this lingering feeling of just not good. I feel so bad for this submitter. Before we get started, I just want to remind you to subscribe to my YT channel, where I will be posting the same story that I told last night, but an uncensored version and a longer version of it. Before we get started, I just want to remind you to subscribe to my YT channel and my IG. Both are in my link tree, where I post the same videos on here, different and longer and uncensored version of videos. Before we get started, I just want to remind you to subscribe to my YT and my IG. They're both in my link tree, and I will be posting the same story I posted last night, only an uncensored and much longer version of it. I will be doing that tomorrow night. If you want to send me your true scary story, my link is also in my bio. You can submit your story there. Today's submitter's name is Randy, and she did say that I could tag her, so she will be tagged below. So any comments or questions that you have, drop them in the comments. She lived in Canyonville, Oregon in 2011. Driveway was a mile long, steep dirt road that had cattle everywhere. She lived with her then boyfriend and his sister, and this is the first place that they had gotten together. They were in their early 20s, so this was kind of exciting for them. Now, his sister was only 16 years old. He worked nights, so she spent a lot of time with his sister at night because neither of them worked at night. She said that this trailer always gave her spooky vibes. She didn't like it. Like, it felt cold and weird, and there was also an added room at the end of the trailer that was almost the length of the trailer. It had cement floors, and in the back of the wall, there was a square cutout of the wall. After about a week of living there, creepy things started happening. So they started hearing knocking on the wall, and if you knocked on the wall, whatever it was that was knocking would imitate your knocks every single time. And sometimes they would be sitting in the trailer, and they would all of a sudden hear this growling sound coming through the vents. They also had 2 cats and 1 dog, and apparently the dog would sit at the end of the hallway every single night and just growl for no reason, just stare at the end of the hallway and growl. She would always get up to check to see what this was, and there was nothing there, and this would really freak her out a lot, because can you imagine if one of your animals, especially a dog, was just staring at a corner and growling at it? That would absolutely terrify me. She also said that her boyfriend would disappear a lot, and so a lot of times it would just be her and her sister that would be witnessing things and not him. Why he was disappearing, no idea. So one time in particular, her and his sister are at the house and they're listening to music when all of a sudden her hair starts to slowly stand up, and it's standing up. His sister looks at her with this terrified look on her face, like, what the hell is happening? They're both staring at each other like, oh my God, she's not moving at all. And then all of a sudden her hair falls back down and the music stops and all the electronics in the house just shut down. She said that the only thing that stayed on were the lights. So they were just sitting there staring at each other, absolutely terrified, when all of a sudden the doors of the cupboards just fly open and dishes just start flying out of the cupboard. And as if that wasn't bad enough, she was showering one time. She's standing in the shower, and all of a sudden she feels this gust of wind. When she looks over, and there's this bald man standing next to the shower staring at her. He was about 6'4". His skin looked weathered, like he had been in the sun for way too long. He had dark circles around his eyes. He was wearing a dark sweater and black slacks. And he's just standing there staring at her when the curtain, the shower curtain, wraps around her entire body and she falls out of the shower. He's just standing there. After that, they absolutely refused to take showers alone. Both of the girls started seeing this man everywhere, and especially when they would take showers. So every time they took a shower, they would have to have one another in the room. Then her boyfriend starts experiencing things. The little girl presented herself to her boyfriend and told her boyfriend that they were trapped there in this house because there was a plane crash and there was a man there, a bad man, probably the bald man, who was keeping them there, keeping them trapped there. Now, this little girl started presenting herself to the girls often, and this little girl was not, she didn't look great. She had long, dark hair that was always in her face. She had dark circles around her eyes, and she was super pale. She was about 8 or 9 years old, and she would always wear a white dress that was kind of ruffled, and she always had a music box with her that had a mirror in it. It was like an old antique music box, and she would carry this around with her everywhere. Now, they always knew when she was going to show herself because they could hear the music box playing before she would present herself. Now, after they would hear this music, they would then hear her running up and down the halls, giggling. She could also run through you and then laugh. Randy said that her first experience with her doing this was incredibly odd because it felt like ice was running through her veins. This part is terrifying. One day, her boyfriend is laying on the couch and he has dark brown eyes. This is important to know. He's arguing with her about something, and while he's arguing with her, all of a sudden his voice starts to change. He starts yelling at her and his voice sounds almost demonic. He then shoots up from his position and he just stares at her and he starts yelling yelling, and his eyes turn this bright green color with this red dot in the middle. Then stops yelling and he just stares at her, and he's intently staring at her with these eyes. And this is super awkward when all of a sudden she goes, "Joseph," and he answers and goes,
"Joseph isn't here right now."
and he just sits back down and acts completely normal. She will never forget that, she said. That scared the daylights out of her. So after everything being absolutely insane for a year, Joseph finally contacts his aunt, which is apparently an empath, and she tells him that that random room that is attached, that has that cement flooring and everything, needs to be covered because it is a portal. Meanwhile, she had never been to the house before, so she had no idea that that room was even there. His aunt also tells them that that bald man is the keeper of all of those souls there. So I was right. Yes, the keeper of all those souls. He's not good. They also found out that the trailer was manufactured in a town in California that did not exist at all. It said right there on the trailer where it was manufactured, and it was not a real place. They also discovered that in the late 1800s that a plane had crashed in that area with no survivors. They ended up just moving out after a year because it just got worse and worse every single day. Do you guys think that this was demonic or a poltergeist, or what do you think this was? Because this sounds demonic to me. This sounds bad, especially the bald man and the little girl. Whenever something presents itself as a little girl, I never believe that it's a little girl. That's just my opinion. But what do you guys think in the comments? Because Randy would love to know what everyone thinks. This was a horrible experience for her. She lived in fear every single day. So she would like to know what you guys think. My name is Kaisa, and I give true scary stories on here every single night. So if you like that, then hit that follow button. And like I said before, if you guys want to send me your true scary story, my email is in my bio. It is kaisaspooky@gmail.com, or you can go to my link tree and submit your story there. Love you guys tons and tons, every single one of you. Thank you so much, every one of you. I love you. Thank you. I notice all of you that are repeat commenters. You guys are my favorite. Like, I appreciate the comments and the likes and the shares and everything more than you know, and the support and the followers. Like, you guys make my day every single day. I swear to you, you do. There's just one last thing I need you to do for me. And what is that? Have a spooky night.